Imagine this for a second. You're having an objectively good day. You hit a personal best at the gym. Maybe you just completely nailed a presentation at work. Your energy is light. Your mood is it's stable. Then you step into, say, a busy doctor's office, or you spend 20 minutes talking to a friend who is just intensely worried about a deadline.
Right.
And suddenly, without any warning, that bright feeling inside just vanishes. You feel heavy or anxious or just profoundly exhausted. You try to trace it back to something you did and you realize
There's nothing there.
exactly, there's no internal cause. It feels like you've been standing too close to a draining battery.
That phenomenon, that mysterious sudden mood shift, it's so much more than just a passing mood swing. For people who are highly sensitive to energy, it's often a signal that you're not just witnessing someone else's emotional state, you're actively mirroring it, absorbing it.
Energetic transfer.
Yes. And it's draining, it's confusing, and if you've experienced it, you know it leads to these feelings of being constantly overwhelmed or, inexplicably sad.
And that is precisely our mission for this deep dive. We're going to explore the neurological and the energetic roots of this whole experience. We want to cut through that confusion and give you the tools to answer that really crucial question. Is this feeling, this exhaustion, this tension, is it mine or is it theirs?
Moving from that passive sensitivity where you feel sort of overwhelmed by the world to a place of more controlled strength.
Where you can choose what stays and what goes. So let's start with the hard science. The bedrock mechanism for all this is something called emotional contagion, EC.
Right.
Researchers describe it as this automatic, quick, and really subtle process where emotions can literally spread between people, often completely unconsciously.
Think of it like a kind of social osmosis. It's wild. When we engage with someone, our bodies have this inherent automatic tendency to mimic and synchronize with all their nonverbal signals.
Their facial expressions, vocal tone,
Their posture, everything. If they lean forward in concentration, you might lean forward a little. If their jaw is tight with stress, you might unconsciously tighten your own. It just happens.
and that's where the cycle turns inward.
Yeah.
Right, the physical feedback loop.
Exactly. When you unconsciously mimic someone's worried frown, the physical feedback from your own body, that muscle tension in your face, it actually starts to influence your internal emotional state. You don't have to know why they're irritated, but by mirroring that expression, you start to generate that feeling inside yourself.
So the body simulates the emotion first.
Yes, and the brain then interprets that physical sensation as a genuine feeling. Your body is physically confirming the emotion you're just observing.
And the engine driving this incredible simulation is the mirror neuron system, or MNS.
Yeah.
These nerve cells are they're remarkable.
They're the foundation of our social intelligence, really. They're unique because they fire both when you perform an action and when you just observe someone else performing that same action.
Like when you see someone almost trip and you get that lurch in your own stomach.
That's it, exactly. Your mirror neurons fired. They simulated the physical experience of the near fall, creating a shared physical reality right there in your brain.
Which means this system lets us essentially simulate the internal state of others, creating what scientists call emotional resonance. It's the biological reason we feel connected.
But it's also the mechanism behind why you can leave a conversation feeling genuinely wiped out, as if you ran a marathon you only watched. It's real fatigue from real neurological activity.
Okay, so if the MNS is the engine of empathy, what happens when that engine runs too hot?
That's the perfect way to put it. For certain individuals, empathy is vital, but when that emotional transfer becomes overwhelming, uncontrolled, it crosses the line from simple emotional contagion into what we call empathic absorption.
And this is where we really get into the distinction between, say, a highly sensitive person, HSP, and an empath. An HSP might have a low threshold for sensory input, bright lights, loud noise.
Right, sensory overload.
But an empath takes that sensitivity much, much further. They become like an emotional sponge. They don't just notice the energy in the room, they absorb the emotions and often the physical sensations directly into their own system.
It's the difference between hearing a sad song and feeling the full crushing weight of the songwriter's heartbreak in your own chest. When your boundary control is low, that stress you've picked up becomes completely indistinguishable from your own personal stress.
So let's break down the clear signs of this kind of overload so you can maybe identify this cycle in yourself. one of the first indicators is that really persistent intuition.
Absolutely. Empaths have that strong gut knowing. They can walk into a room and instantly feel the unspoken tension, or they just know when someone is being dishonest. They're picking up on micro-expressions, subtle cues that most people just filter out.
And then there's the classic, crowd overload. It's not just that malls or busy offices are loud.
No, not at all. It's because your nervous system is trying to process dozens, maybe hundreds, of emotional fragments at the same time. All those signals, fear, joy, worry, haste, they all scramble together. It leads to this profound, deep exhaustion, not just mental tiredness.
And I imagine that high level of attunement leads directly into problems with conflict.
It does. If you're absorbing the tension, you will dread conflict because the other person's anger or sadness can feel like a physical attack on your own system. Criticism, even just an offhand remark, can cut really deeply.
Which then makes setting boundaries feel almost impossible.
It's a huge challenge. Many empaths feel like they just can't say no because they believe setting a limit means they don't care. But the ultimate burden of that is it spirals into compassion fatigue, burnout. You have nothing left to give because you've taken on way too much.
And there are real physiological impacts here, right? We're not just talking about feelings.
No, we are not. This continuous mirroring drains your prefrontal cortex, the brain's regulatory center. You're asking your system to manage not just your life stressors, but everyone else's too. It chronically elevates stress hormones like cortisol. It is a literal state of depletion.
So if the goal is to shift from this passive absorption to a more controlled, intentional empathy, the first step has to be self-awareness.
It's the most critical step.
We need a reliable way to differentiate. How do we start running that reality check?
We use 3 definitive questions. The first one, and it's often the clearest, is the timing check. You just ask yourself, did this feeling, this anxiety, this sudden sadness, did it start before or after I ran into this person or went to this place?
If the shift was immediate, right after an interaction, that's your first big clue.
It's a huge clue.
But what if the timing is a bit more ambiguous? You know, you've been carrying the feeling for a while. That's where you look at the internal cause.
Precisely. You ask yourself, is this feeling actually rooted in a genuine fact? Have I received bad news? Am I in a real conflict? If you can rule out medical reasons, hormones, actual personal stressors, and you still feel profoundly irritable or low,
then your nervous system is very likely mirroring someone else's state.
you're feeling an emotion that doesn't actually belong to your story.
Okay, and then the final, most definitive test, the one that removes all doubt.
The solitude test. It's non-negotiable for empaths. If that heavy stress or those mysterious physical symptoms like a tension headache or a wave of fatigue, if they mysteriously disappear or even just lift significantly when you spend time alone in a quiet space,
The energy wasn't yours.
it was external. Solitude gives your nervous system the downtime it needs to reset and just discharge all that foreign emotional input it was processing.
It's incredible how the body almost acts as a physical match for this.
Yeah.
Where does this external energy tend to press down?
It often shows up tangibly in specific areas. The head causing that brain fog or a tension headache, the chest, that feeling of tightness, often mistaken for personal anxiety. And centrally, the solar plexus region, that area just above your stomach.
So for listeners who might not be familiar with that term, the solar plexus in energetic anatomy is seen as the center of personal power. But how does that connect to our neurobiology?
We have to connect the dots, yes. That area is densely packed with nerve tissue. It's right over the gut, which is deeply linked to the vagus nerve and the whole gut-brain axis. When we talk about emotional indigestion or absorbing stress,
That's where you feel it.
it's often the first place to react physically. It shows up as anxiety, nervousness, even digestive issues. That's the physiological mechanism behind the energetic concept.
So that spiritual gut instinct we talk about, that feeling of being drained,
Yeah.
we need to listen to that physical signal.
Absolutely. That deep inner knowing is often processed by a part of the brain called the anterior insular cortex, the AIC. It integrates our sensory info and our emotional state. It's the physical home of intuition. Trusting that signal isn't overreacting, it's essential survival gear.
Okay, this brings up a really important question. If we get good at this, at differentiating our feelings, aren't we just shutting down empathy? How do we practice controlled strength without becoming, emotionally unavailable?
That is the key distinction. We are not aiming for emotional numbness. We're aiming for regulation. And the great news is that this is a trainable neurobiological process. We can move from being passively flooded to actively filtering.
So let's jump into those actionable strategies. What is the fastest way to hit the reset button when you feel that external wave crash over you?
It starts with nervous system regulation via breath. Breath work is the quickest way to shift your state because it directly signals safety to your brain.
Is there a specific technique we should prioritize?
Focus on extending the exhale. The inhale is linked to our fight or flight system, but a longer exhale directly activates the parasympathetic or rest and digest system. A simple 4-to-6 ratio works wonders.
So inhale for 4 seconds.
And then consciously, slowly exhale for 6 seconds. Even just 1 minute of this can significantly lower your cortisol and lessen that feeling of urgency or anxiety that you've picked up.
Okay, next up is energetic hygiene. So we're getting into visualization.
Yes. Visualization is basically using your mind to set clear, intentional boundaries that your nervous system can respond to. You can imagine yourself surrounded by a protective sphere or bubble of, say, white or golden light. But here's the critical detail.
What's that?
This shield is not a wall. It's a permeable filter.
A filter, not a blockade. I like that.
Exactly. The intention is that this shield allows positive connection and love to flow in, but it filters out the excessive, unwanted input, the fear, the stress, the chaos. You're choosing the quality of energy you interact with.
And what about after you've already been exposed? We need those clearing rituals to shed what we've picked up.
Absolutely. Practice intentional grounding. It can be as simple as standing barefoot on the earth for a minute or two, or use water, a slow shower, or a bath, and you focus your intention on letting that unwanted energy literally flow down the drain. As you do it, state your intention, aloud or just silently. I return energy that is not mine. I reclaim my own.
That's a powerful cognitive reframing tool.
It really is.
Finally, let's talk about what is often the hardest part for empaths: interpersonal boundaries. This is where visualization has to translate into real-world action.
This is your essential survival gear. If you identify relationships that consistently leave you feeling drained, you have to consciously limit your exposure. Set clear, realistic limits on how long you interact. But we know saying no can feel terrifying.
So how does someone get over that internal resistance?
Start small. If you find it scary to say no out loud, practice saying the word no internally first, in your own head, before you even respond. It trains your nervous system, even in that micro moment, that you are safe when setting a limit. It's like an internal rehearsal.
And then there's the ultimate self-focused check-in before you commit to anything.
Yes. Before agreeing to a task, a favor, anything demanding, actively check in with your own emotional reserves. Ask yourself honestly, do I have the energy for this, or am I running on fumes? Your needs are just as vital as the feelings you're picking up from others. Boundaries aren't about being uncaring. They're about maintaining the capacity to care without collapsing.
You know, this deep dive really clarifies one major thing. If this is you, you are not overly sensitive, you are not thinking too much, you're definitely not wrong for feeling things so deeply. You just perceive and process energy on a much more profound level.
The power we want you to walk away with lies in recognizing that difference. The difference between genuine empathy, connecting with others from a place of strength and absorption, which is taking their pain on as your own burden. You can manage this flow.
I think the most empowering truth you can carry forward from this is this: I feel it, but I don't have to hold on to everything. You have the right to choose which energy enters your field and the power to return what is not yours.
So now that you know you can shed this heavy weight, pause for a moment. Consider which relationship, which environment, past or present, is the source of a persistent emotion you're carrying. If you consciously choose today to return that absorbed energy, what kind of lightness, what kind of emotional space opens up for your true self? Think about that conscious choice as you move through the rest of your day.